Hello, today we're going to talk about Democrats. Are they holding Congress and the government hostage?
Because they want health care for illegal immigrants.
Right. And this is that larger question of hostility against illegal immigrants that we'd love to address today.
But today, let's focus just on the allegations that Democrats are trying to give health care to illegal immigrants.
So, what are Democrats asking for exactly in their continuing resolution to fund the government?
Right. So they're saying, okay, we won't sign the continuing resolution unless we get the extension of the healthcare credits for the ACA health exchange, and we want also the rollback of all the cuts to Medicaid that the big beautiful budget bill did.
Right.
Those are the two things that are consistently reported that all the Democrats want. But some reporting is saying a few other things that they want to, like they want protection from rescission. So basically, they want the government, the executive branch, to just be able to say, "Oh well, we'll pass this bill, but later we're going to yoink the funding back out of it."
Right, and that's
which
something
they've been doing so much this year.
Right, and they have to kind of circumvent that in advance, and so that's why one of the reasons they're holding out.
Right, and then also they're talking about how they want assurance that they're actually going to try to do a full appropriations bill, not just
continuing to
more continuing
more delays to get an actual bill in place.
Bill. And then there's a younger group of Democrats that just started up this year called the Majority Democrats that also would like to have the tax cuts repealed, so a more fair tax cut that helps all Americans, not just the wealthiest. They want to eliminate the Trump administration's tariffs.
Yep.
That, the courts have been saying isn't really legal anyway.
Right. Yeah. And I'm a small business. Anybody out there who still questions whether or not Americans are paying the tariffs. I pay the tariffs.
Yeah.
I am paying the tariffs and higher shipping charges. I import from China. I import from Vietnam. I import from Europe. I pay those taxes. They don't pay those taxes.
Yeah.
So, that's just to straighten that out for anybody else who still might be unclear about that.
Yes. And they also want the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files.
Well, yes, release the files.
Let's release the files. Come on, let's get going on that.
Release the files.
And they also would like a ban on members of Congress trading stock.
Yes.
Now, that's a bipartisan thing.
Yeah.
There's members of both parties that are going for that, but the Democrats kind of want that to be included right now.
Yeah. And I think the only ones that don't want that are those that are getting payments and are benefiting from having millions of dollars in the stock market, and I think those are probably the ones that are against that.
Yeah, most likely. So let's talk about this.
Okay.
Would extending the ACA credits and reversing cuts to Medicaid, which is what all the Democrats want, really give health care to illegal immigrants?
It's complicated.
Yeah.
But maybe not so much. There is some health care, and it's only emergency health care, that illegal immigrants actually get when they show up at an emergency room. They are not denied medical treatment.
Right. Emergency medical care.
Right. But it's not like they qualify for benefits, like an actual health care program like Medicaid or Medicare or subsidized coverage under the ACA.
Right. They can only get emergency health care. That's it. Which includes, like, if you're having a baby or something.
Yeah.
Emergent stuff, right?
Yeah. So with, like, emergency Medicaid, you really need to know more about the EMTALA. It's the Emergency Medical Treatment and Labor Act. Mm-hmm. It was signed in 1986 by Ronald Reagan. EMTALA requires every emergency department in America to screen and stabilize any patient who comes in for emergency medical treatment.
Right.
It doesn't ask for a passport, a green card, or birth certificate, or require that you have insurance. And when you look at the practice of being a physician, of being a doctor, when a doctor becomes an official doctor, they take the Hippocratic Oath to do no harm and to stand by and watch someone bleed out on the floor, that is doing harm.
Yeah.
So, it also would be adhering to the Hippocratic Oath, I think.
Right. Even if it wasn't a legal matter,
right.
It would be a moral matter of
right.
that Hippocratic Oath that the doctors take.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, so hospitals really have no choice but to comply with that. They have to do that. And so Congress created emergency Medicaid to help pay for some of the cost.
Yeah,
because
to the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. And it's historically cost less than 1% of Medicaid's total budget, roughly $2 billion out of about $800 billion total.
Right.
So it's not very much.
Right. So what did the big beautiful bill do to that?
Okay, so
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe that's debatable.
Anyway. Right.
So it modified the matching federal payments to states for emergency Medicaid.
Yeah.
If those states had expanded care under the ACA, and that means if the states decided to go ahead and expand who could get medical coverage under the ACA, Medicaid coverage, to those who make more than 100% of their federal poverty levels. Mm-hmm. So up to 138% of federal poverty levels, they could still get Medicaid. And the states had the option to expand it to that. And any state who did expand that will have reduced matching federal payments for emergency Medicaid.
Okay.
So it reduces it down to their FMAP percentage, which is always going to be less than the 90% reimbursement they used to get. Mm-hmm, so that's what it did. And it does not change the legal requirement for hospitals to provide emergency medical care. Yeah. It just shifts more of the cost to the states and to the medical providers. Right. So less is paid for by the federal government, more is paid for by the states and the medical providers.
So that makes sense. So then how does this affect the immigrant parolees in DACA?
Well, immigrant parolees in DACA are a different matter, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So President Vance was talking about how immigrant parolees and DACA residents were handed taxpayer-funded coverage, but that is misleading. Right. So, first of all, it's important to know that DACA individuals and immigrant parolees have lawful presence status. Yes. That includes temporary protection from deportation. It includes work authorization. And so they are not illegal. Right. They're legally here in the United States. They have lawful presence. Right. So what he was kind of referring to was that the Biden administration extended the ACA marketplace coverage to these individuals with lawful presence. And they still had to pay their health insurance premiums just like everyone else. Right. But they did benefit from the subsidies that existed for the ACA. Right. So, but that's been rescinded.
Right. As of this year, right?
Yeah. As of this year. They did some changes to the legal laws, and then the BBB extended that even further. Where they cannot any longer purchase health insurance off of the ACA exchanges. Okay. So even if that was rolled back, like as the Democrats want, and these individuals were able to purchase health insurance through the ACA, they have lawful status. So they're not illegal. Right. But, the Democrats have said they were willing to negotiate on that. So even if, the Republicans didn't want to let people with lawful status purchase, health insurance through the ACA, they said they're willing to negotiate about that.
Yeah, but Republicans aren't coming to the table to talk at all. Right.
Exactly.
So
which I think is probably because of the Epstein thing.
But, yeah, the Epstein thing, of course. Yes, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we started the video, you mentioned something about tax and match, which is like some tax loophole. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I had not heard of it before. So I started looking into it because actually a MAGA friend of mine pointed me in that direction. So I was like, okay, what's going on here? Yeah. And so I looked into it. So the big, beautiful budget bill also modified some taxes that states can charge on providers that relate to getting matching federal tax dollars for healthcare. So here's how it works. Some are arguing that if we rescinded all the Medicaid cuts that were made in the BBB, it would indirectly fund illegal immigrants' health care because of the changes to the provider tax credit. So this is how it works. A state pays a medical provider higher payments for a Medicaid patient for healthcare that they got than they would normally do. And then that triggers a higher matching federal dollars that they get because of what they paid for the Medicaid. And then they turn around and tax the medical provider and get back some of that money, the increased money that they paid to the medical provider for the Medicaid person. So they get that money back, but they get to keep the increased amount of federal matching dollars. And so they can spend those federal matching dollars on like a pretty wide variety of stuff, which then frees up money from the general state fund. And so people are saying, well, that indirectly frees up money from the general state fund because to pay for some states give health insurance through the state to illegal immigrants.
But that's still not free.
No, and it's very convoluted saying, well, rescinding the Medicaid cuts would change those what they can charge for the provider tax credits, and so then that would lead to more money from the state to give to illegal immigrants. You know, it's very convoluted, and again, the Democrats are willing to negotiate about that to make sure that the money wouldn't go back to illegal immigrants. But it's people talk about California and Oregon, right? And they're saying they're doing something illegal. It's not illegal. It's perfectly legal. And 49 states use that tax and match tax loophole to fund their healthcare. And sometimes in really large amounts. Like for instance, we had, if we go a little bit further there, I was going to find my quote. Oh, there it is. Okay, so, no, actually a little further.
This way?
No, that way.
That way?
Yeah.
We're just playing with our little bullet point list of things we want to talk about in the video. So, yeah. Okay, exactly. So here's your quote. Where?
Okay, so
got it? Okay.
First of all, it's good to know that the Big Beautiful Budget Bill reduced the amount of taxes that a state can make to a provider from 6% to only 3.5%.
Okay.
If they're a Medicaid expansion state. And then it also changes like how they can apply them, and it says they can't levy new provider taxes after October of next year.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if we go a little bit further, it talks about the Hilltop Institute at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, pieced together some data from various sources because this money isn't tracked very well.
Okay.
So they pieced together a bunch of sources to make rough calculations about how much money some states are generally getting from this tax and match loophole.
Okay.
So, for instance, South Carolina, it funds at least $2.7 billion of its healthcare budget through this tax and match loophole.
Okay.
And so, if the Big Beautiful Budget Bill has reduced that down, they're going to have a huge hole in their healthcare funding. And in Mississippi, they could lose $2.1 billion. So this is like a third of what these states are spending on their healthcare.
Okay.
And they're doing it through this loophole.
Right.
So even though people complain about California and Oregon spending money on illegal immigrants, this cut that the Big Beautiful Budget Bill made to the provider taxes is going to hurt a lot of red states.
Yeah.
Extremely.
But see, the Democrats said they'd be willing to negotiate some of these technicalities and details.
Right.
You know, to ensure that some of that will not happen. Some of the loophole, taking advantage of that loophole won't happen.
Right.
So.
And you could argue that maybe we shouldn't have that loophole, and maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we shouldn't be like using the loophole to get more federal money.
Yeah.
But let's give the state some time to like come up with some money, other ways to fund that healthcare, so it's not like abruptly
so that
gone.
The poor Americans don't suffer.
Yeah, so that's what Democrats are concerned about, because it is going to make huge holes in a lot of states' funding, and a lot of Republican lawmakers are starting to realize that. I saw an interesting video that AOC put out.
Yeah.
She said she talked to one of her Republican colleagues the other day, and I'll tell you about that.
Okay.
So AOC said she talked to one of her Republican colleagues about the healthcare. And she said, why do you oppose, what we want with healthcare so much? And he's like, he didn't believe the data. He just thought that Democrats were like
fudging data.
He thought they were spinning it for political gain. He didn't believe the data, even though it was out there, until a rural hospital in his own district started telling him, yes, this is really going to hurt us, and then he believed it. Gosh. So it's, to me, that seems to be so indicative of the divide, the problems we have from our divide, because even the lawmakers didn't believe the data because they just thought the other side must be spinning it for political reasons. Yeah. And then they found out, oh no, actually the data is right. And so it's that divide. It's causing real problems because some of these lawmakers, even the Republicans, said they wouldn't have voted for the big, beautiful budget bill if they'd known some of what was in it. So a number of them said that afterwards. Right. And that's partly because of the divide.
I also think that maybe they're also saying that to cover themselves.
Yeah, that could be.
For voting for it, too.
Yeah.
So that they can keep their popularity with their constituents. Yeah. It's hard to know.
Yeah.
So much suspicion on both sides.
It really is. Yeah. It's a real problem that we're not getting some stuff done in the way that would help the most American people because of that divide. But yeah, and so I guess conclusion, the contention is not true that Democrats are trying to get health care for illegal immigrants.
Yeah, but I mean, when you think about what causes people to be so upset at the idea that illegal immigrants might get health care.
Yeah.
Let's dig into that. I mean, what...
Yeah. What makes people so upset? Why are we so upset that we might give some money towards giving health care to illegal immigrants?
Well, I think some things I've seen when I've been on discussions online, some things I've seen people talk about is that they believe that when immigrants get health care, it's all free. This is socialist health care programs. And it's just like, no, health care is never really free.
No.
And I think what a lot of people, when they're already struggling with their own healthcare costs and whatnot, and they think that someone's not even American is getting something free that, as an American, I'm not.
Right.
Then it just ticks them off.
Right. I think you're right. I think the underlying financial strain that so many people are under is a big part of people not wanting someone else to get something they don't think they're entitled to.
Yeah.
Because, costs are going up. It's hard for a lot of people. I look at younger couples right now and, they're struggling.
Yeah.
They're having to both work like full-time jobs, even though they've got kids, they're going to school and
one of them
working.
Even taking a second job.
Yeah, exactly. And, housing costs have gone up so much. You and I were lucky because we bought our houses before the houses really boomed so much, but nowadays, if anyone wants to buy a house, it's crazy in our area.
I've been in this house for 11 years, and it's a 3,400 square foot home in a small little rural area in Utah. And yeah, we're in a deep red state. But now when I look at the valuation of it, it's over $500,000. It's worth over $500,000.
So if you had to buy it now,
it would be so prohibitive.
Yeah.
To try to buy this house now.
Even rent. When we first moved to this area, probably 8 years ago, you could get a 2-bedroom apartment in the 600s.
Right.
Now, it would be minimum $1,200.
Yeah.
It's like doubled.
Right.
And then grocery prices are up too. And I think we have 5 adult-sized people in our house, and I think we spend as much on groceries as we do on our mortgage.
Yeah.
Just the prices of everything have really crept up.
Yeah.
And that's tough. It's really hard on people. They're struggling right now. Yeah. They're making it mostly, but it's because it's so much more of a strain than it used to be. Like when I was growing up, a lot of moms got to stay home with their kids. Yeah. And now that's rare.
Yeah.
Right? People just have trouble affording it. And so then you think, oh, well, we're struggling so much, why should the other people get
free healthcare?
Right.
And when they don't. They really don't. They don't get free healthcare plans.
No.
Everybody can go to the ER and get free
emergency
care.
And that doesn't matter if you're a citizen or not. You still get that.
Right.
But,
so that's like equal, but across the board. But illegal immigrants don't get this, and a lot of people think they do, and so it ticks them off, and so then the propaganda.
Yeah.
The whole propaganda machine over the years is these are rapists and murderers. That you hear that over and over again, you start to believe it.
And statistics don't bear it out.
No, I mean, what I've seen statistically is that immigrants are 65% less likely to commit a violent crime than a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
It's completely contradictory to the propaganda that's being set out there right now.
Yeah. And I did not realize the power of propaganda until this year, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy to think. But you can see why it works, because it gives you someone to blame, and then the powers that be, right, would really much rather you blame someone else than them.
Instead of the ultra rich that are actually really taking the subsidies, because I saw statistically that our tax dollars, in order to support Medicaid, it costs us as a taxpayer $37 a year. It costs us as a taxpayer to provide corporate subsidies $600 a year. So who should we really be hating if we're going to hate someone?
Yeah.
If we're going to hate or be mad at someone.
Yeah. But the propaganda is
the
trying
propaganda
to make us
machine
look at someone else. Don't look behind don't look behind the curtain.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Don't
look at that.
I mean, the propaganda machine is led by and funded by the ultra wealthy who want you to believe that.
Yeah.
So
I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah. I mean, so in closing.
Yeah.
Is there something that you would like us to cover in a future episode? Let us know.
Check out our Facebook and our Blue Sky to keep informed and get updates and more details about what we talked about today.
Yes. Go to our Substack to get more detailed information on what we talk about in these videos and to see our publications, what you're just referencing. So press the like button, hit subscribe, and help get the word out. And welcome to the conversation.